Do you have a male dog that when you go to collect him, say you're doing a breeding or shipping out semen for a breeding, that he starts bleeding while you collect him? Well, today we're going to kind of cover a couple of the reasons as to why that can be, especially when it comes to dog breeding. These are some things you definitely need to know. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Breeders Hacks. All right, guys.
I got you right now. What's going on, Bully fam?
What's going on, Bully fam? It's boy the educator, the scientist, Mr. Double Muscle Line Bulls, bringing you another episode of Breeders Hacks. What I wanted to cover today is something that it does happen. It doesn't happen all the time, but this is something that can happen. I just want to share with you guys the things that I've learned, the things that I've noticed, and the things that I've dealt with when it came to breeding. So if you guys come across it, you have a little bit of insight. A dog that is bleeding while you're collecting it, right? Sometimes people will collect their stud dogs, and when they're looking at the vial with the semen that they've collected, they find that there's quite a bit of blood in there. So I just wanted to cover some of the things that it could be. Obviously, yet again, this is never to replace your vet's information. You should definitely go to the vet, get the dog checked out. But these are some of the things that even after going to the vet, we were able to kind of identify after not having success and successfully correct them. Some of these things are going to be very simple and very easy. So you're going to want to watch this to the end. When you have a dog that's bleeding while you're collecting the stud, right? Say you're shipping out the semen for a breeding, or say you have an in-person breeding. We don't do any more natural ties, especially with the amount of STDs that are around for dogs. And this is a very real thing. You should do some homework on it because some of them are very, very deadly. Here's some of the things that you would notice if you're not doing a natural tie. And like I said, you're collecting the dogs, whether you're shipping the semen or whether you're doing artificial insemination, whatever the case may be, right? When the dog's bleeding, here's one of the things that it could be. This is number one, right? Number one is sometimes the dog can blow a blood vessel. It does happen. If you've ever looked at dog's penis, especially when it's erect and it's exposed, it's very veiny, it's very vascular, and sometimes the dogs do blow a blood vessel. I knew this one dog that he would, every time he was collected, he would blow a blood vessel. There was nothing in particular that was able to be done, but it never affected the offspring. He was able to get plenty of dogs pregnant, no problems. But that's sometimes what it can be. The dog is just simply blowing a blood vessel because there's all those veins on there. And like I said, especially if you're collecting the dog and you're using your hand and you're doing it very aggressively, that can also blow a blood vessel as well. So you just want to kind of be mindful of that. And you want to be looking at where the blood is coming from when you're doing the collecting, right? So the blood vessel, this isn't like super dire, but you do want to be mindful and observant of this, right? The second thing that I would say can cause bleeding when you're collecting the stud dog is, and I've seen this firsthand, the dog's penis scrapes on the ground because either the dog's penis is too large or because the rear legs aren't long enough, they're too short. Either one, what winds up happening is the dog winds up, when the dog gets erect, it's hitting its penis on the floor, you know. And especially, like, I know this one dog, for example, I saw the video, they went to pull the dog and the dog's penis scraped against the concrete floor and it started bleeding. So they didn't even realize it was from the concrete floor. They just saw the blood and they immediately freaked out. It was because, yet again, the penis was either too large or the rear legs were not tall enough to keep the penis from scraping on the floor. So that could be your number two, is the penis could be scraping on the floor, right? So that's what you also want to be observant of. That's why when I collect dogs, usually it's on a nice, safe surface. Ideally, I prefer to pull them like on the table with the wee-wee pad so I can be closer to eye level, so I can make sure that the dog's not, like I said, scraping on the floor or anything like that. And I put a brand new wee-wee pad on top so that then everything is pretty relatively clean and it's not an abrasive surface that is most likely going to scratch the dog's penis if it puts the dog's penis on the floor. Number 3, I've done an episode on this, and that is if the dog has a penis prolapse. If the dog has a penis prolapse, it's going to look like the inside of the penis is coming out, right? It's the urethra. It's a urethral prolapse. So the urethra, the dog's penis, is actually, if this is the dog's penis, right? Let's just say this, and this is the knot at the end. It looks like a little mushroom. It looks like it's mushrooming out. And basically, it's the urethra, because the urethra runs through the penis all the way up into the dog's bladder, and that's how it urinates. Well, if it's a prolapse, the dog's going to be bleeding when you collect the dog. What usually can cause the prolapse, though, is one of three things, and actually one of these three things can actually maybe help in preventing the bleeding in the first place. One of the things is if you have a male dog around a lot of females in heat, they're going to consistently be getting erect, going to consistently be getting hard, and that can be the means for a prolapse. Another thing is if the dog, say, has to travel upstairs and downstairs, you live in a city or something like that, that can cause, damage, the impact from the penis hitting the stairs, that can cause a prolapse. As well as I think the last thing is pretty much, they do also say it's like it can be hereditary. So that may be something as well as to why it's causing the dog's penis to be prolapsed. But number three can be a prolapse. So the blood vessel, sometimes that can go away on its own. Sometimes you just got to give the dog time to reset. Sometimes it just happens every once in a while. This really isn't as major, at least in my opinion. Regardless, no matter what, you see blood, I would take the dog to the vet. I would get their opinion, but this is just in my experience from seeing it firsthand with stud dogs. All right. Number two, the rear not being tall enough, the penis scraping. You can easily, yet again, get eye level and see if the penis is scraping on the ground. And then the prolapse, I would tell you to check out our video on prolapses, but obviously, go to your vet, and this is gonna be a more involved situation, when it comes to the prolapse. But those are typically the three things that will usually cause to bleed when you're collecting the dog. There's other things, like, for example, if the dog has like kidney stones, bladder stones, then you may see blood when the dog's like urinating. But generally, we're just talking about like blood when you're collecting the dog for actual breedings, like when you want to see semen. What I want to just also emphasize on is just because you see blood in the semen when you're doing the breeding, that doesn't mean that the female can't get pregnant. A lot of blood usually isn't ideal, but very, very little faint blood is usually it's not bad. It's not the end of the world either. So what I would say is if you do see a little bit of blood, I've seen plenty of samples with blood inside the semen and the dog still gets perfectly pregnant, So if you're doing the breeding and the breeder sends you a collection with a little bit of blood, it's not the end of the world. So I just wanted to kind of cover these things. So these are things that you can maybe look into, whatever the case it may be, and, do your homework. I've had a few people ask me the question of like, what do I think it may be if the dog's like bleeding when you're collecting the dog to do your breedings? That could be it. So rest is always good. Resetting is always good. If the dog maybe has a little bit of blood, also, you could, other than going to your vet, give the dog a little bit of a break. You don't have to be collecting the stud dog every day, every week if you don't have breedings coming up. Give him a break, let him reset, and see what, that also does for him. Let us know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys want to do more episodes like this. I hope this information was helpful. I hope it's useful. Drop a comment down below if we missed anything or if we didn't cover anything. I just wanted to kind of do more of these videos like this. And if you guys are interested, then we can go into further depth, just let us know. So anyway, guys, I'll see you guys on the next episode of Breeders Hacks. All right, guys.